Thomas Wilson stood outside the Oakwood National Bank, his breath creating small clouds in the crisp morning air. His hands trembled slightly, not from the cold, but from the weight of the important documents tucked carefully inside his weathered leather envelope. At 45, Thomas had spent years building his modest savings, each dollar representing hours of hard work and careful planning. The bank's polished glass doors reflected the quiet street behind him. Oakwood was a small town where everyone knew each other, but not everyone understood each other. Thomas adjusted his worn jacket, taking a deep breath before pushing open the heavy door. Inside, the bank felt sterile and cold. Bright fluorescent lights illuminated rows of wooden desks and a single teller counter where Emma Carter stood, her fingers tapping rhythmically on the computer keyboard. She looked up as Thomas approached, her eyes quickly scanning him from head to toe. Thomas walked forward, his steps measured and calm. He had learned long ago that dignity was his most powerful weapon against judgment. The bank was nearly empty, with only an elderly couple sitting in the waiting area and a young man filling out forms near the window. "Good morning," Thomas said softly, placing his envelope on the smooth counter. Emma's response was mechanical. "How can I help you?" Her voice carried a hint of something not quite welcome, not quite hostile, but definitely uncomfortable. Thomas explained he wanted to make a small withdrawal and check his account balance. He pulled out his identification and bank documents, carefully arranged and neatly folded. Years of working in financial consulting had taught him precision and organization. As Emma began processing his request, Thomas noticed a subtle change in her demeanor. Her movements became slower, more deliberate. She examined each document with an intensity that seemed unnecessary. Her fingers lingered over each page, searching for something, though Thomas couldn't understand what. The bank's large wall clock ticked loudly, each second feeling like an eternity. Other customers moved quickly through their transactions, but Thomas remained standing, patient and composed. He had experienced this dance before, the subtle ways prejudice revealed itself in everyday moments. Emma's fingers continued to move across the documents, her eyes narrowing slightly. Thomas recognized the familiar pattern, the microsecond glances, the unnecessary scrutiny, the unspoken judgment that seemed to hang in the air like a heavy curtain. But Thomas had learned long ago not to let these moments define him. His worth was not determined by someone else's limited perspective. He stood tall, his back straight, his dignity intact. The bank's interior felt increasingly suffocating. The sterile white walls, the polished floors, the harsh lighting, everything seemed designed to make one feel small and insignificant. But Thomas remained unmoved, a quiet strength radiating from his calm demeanor. Emma finally looked up, a mixture of confusion and discomfort crossing her face. "I'll need to verify these documents," she muttered, her tone suggesting something was fundamentally wrong. Thomas simply nodded. He had heard these words before, in different banks, different cities, different moments of his life. Each time, he responded with the same quiet dignity. The elderly couple in the waiting area glanced over, sensing the tension. The young man filling out forms paused, his pen hovering above the paper. The entire bank seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Thomas knew this moment was about more than just a simple bank transaction. It was about respect. It was about being seen as a human being, regardless of appearance or background. His documents were perfect, his identification clear, yet something else was happening. As Emma continued her unnecessarily thorough review, Thomas remained calm. His years of professional experience had taught him patience. He understood that sometimes, the most powerful response was no response at all. The morning light continued to stream through the bank's large windows, casting long shadows across the floor. Outside, the small town of Oakwood continued its quiet rhythm, unaware of the silent battle being waged inside the bank. Thomas Wilson stood waiting, his dignity his most powerful weapon, his patience his strongest shield. The minutes crawled by like wounded insects. Thomas remained standing at the teller's counter, his body still and composed while Emma Carter continued her unnecessarily meticulous document review. Other bank customers flowed around him, completing their transactions with swift efficiency, while he remained frozen in this moment of quiet tension. Thomas's mind drifted to his childhood in the small industrial town where he grew up. He remembered his father's lessons about maintaining dignity, even when the world seemed determined to strip it away. Those memories gave him strength now, anchoring him against the subtle currents of discrimination flowing around him. Emma's fingers moved with exaggerated precision across his documents. She would pick up a paper, examine it closely, put it down, then pick it up again. Her movements felt calculated, designed to make Thomas feel uncomfortable. But he had weathered far worse storms in his life. The bank's interior seemed to shrink around him. The white walls felt closer, the fluorescent lights more intense. Yet Thomas remained unchanged, a pillar of calm in a sea of unspoken prejudice. His years of financial consulting had taught him more than just numbers, they had taught him resilience. A young bank employee glanced nervously in their direction. The elderly couple in the waiting area shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Everyone could feel the unspoken tension, like electricity crackling just beneath the surface. Thomas's mind remained clear. He thought about the financial reports he needed to review later, the client meeting scheduled for the afternoon. His professional life was a testament to his capabilities, something no bank teller could diminish with a few suspicious glances. Emma finally looked up, her face a mixture of confusion and something else, perhaps embarrassment, perhaps frustration. She couldn't find anything wrong with his documents, yet something in her resisted completing the transaction smoothly. "I'll need to verify some additional information," she muttered, her voice barely above a whisper. Thomas knew this game. He had played it countless times before in different banks, different cities. Each time, he responded the same way, with quiet dignity and unwavering patience. The bank's large clock continued its steady march. Tick. 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 Each second felt like an eternity, but Thomas remained unmoved. His hands, slightly weathered from years of work, remained steady at his sides. Around him, the bank continued its routine. Computers hummed. Papers shuffled. Phones rang softly in the background. But at this moment, everything seemed to revolve around Thomas and Emma's silent confrontation. He thought about his journey, from a young man with big dreams to a respected financial consultant. Each challenge he had overcome had made him stronger. This moment was just another test, another opportunity to demonstrate his inner strength. Emma's discomfort grew more visible. Her fingers trembled slightly as she reshuffled his documents. She knew she was running out of reasons to delay his transaction, yet something in her seemed reluctant to proceed. The young bank employee whispered something to a colleague. The elderly couple exchanged knowing glances. The entire bank seemed to hold its collective breath, waiting to see what would happen next. Thomas remained a picture of calm. His breathing was steady, his posture relaxed. He understood that his reaction was more powerful than any words he could speak. Dignity, he knew, was a language understood by everyone. Outside, the morning sun continued to rise over Oakwood, casting long shadows through the bank's large windows. The town was waking up, unaware of the quiet drama unfolding inside this financial institution. Emma finally looked up, her professional facade beginning to crack. She could find no legitimate reason to continue delaying Thomas's transaction. Yet something in her resisted moving forward. "I'll need to speak with my manager," she stammered, her previous confidence suddenly wavering. Thomas simply nodded. A gentle smile played on his lips, not a smile of defeat, but one of understanding. He knew this moment was about far more than a simple bank transaction. The silent struggle continued, a testament to human resilience, dignity, and the power of remaining calm in the face of prejudice. The bank manager, Michael Roberts, approached with measured steps. His crisp gray suit and polished shoes spoke of professional precision. At 52, he had seen many unusual situations, but something about this moment felt different. Thomas remained completely calm, his weathered hands holding his documents with quiet confidence. He had learned long ago that true strength was not about confrontation, but about maintaining dignity in challenging moments. Michael studied the scene carefully. Emma looked increasingly uncomfortable, her earlier confidence now replaced by a nervous energy that seemed to vibrate through her entire body. She kept glancing between Thomas and the documents, her fingers fidgeting with the edge of the papers. "Is everything all right?" Michael asked, his voice calm and professional. Thomas simply extended his additional identification. The documents gleamed under the harsh fluorescent lights, professional credentials that told a story far beyond what first appeared. Years of financial expertise were captured in those simple pieces of paper. As Michael began reviewing the documents, a transformation started to happen. His eyebrows slowly rose. The professional mask he typically wore began to crack, revealing something between surprise and sudden understanding. Emma's face changed color. What had seemed like a routine interaction was rapidly becoming something entirely different. The subtle prejudice that had driven her earlier actions now felt like a thin layer of ice about to crack under unexpected weight. Thomas's professional credentials were impeccable. Not just a simple bank customer, he was a respected financial advisor with connections to some of the most significant investment groups in the region. His years of experience were documented in precise, clean lines of text that spoke volumes. The bank's interior seemed to shift. The white walls, previously feeling sterile and cold, now felt like witnesses to an important moment of revelation. The other customers in the bank seemed to sense something was happening, their conversations dropping to hushed whispers. Michael cleared his throat. "Mr. Wilson," he said, his tone now completely different from moments before, "I apologize for any inconvenience." Thomas simply nodded. He understood that this moment was about more than just an apology. It was about recognition, about seeing beyond initial assumptions. Emma stood frozen, her earlier confidence completely dissolved. The documents in her hands now felt heavy, loaded with the weight of her misjudgment. She recognized now how her own prejudices had nearly created an unnecessary conflict. The bank's large clock continued ticking. Outside, the morning sunlight continued to stream through the windows, casting long shadows across the polished floor. The town of Oakwood went about its business, unaware of the profound moment unfolding inside the bank. Michael continued reviewing the documents, his professional demeanor now mixed with a sense of genuine respect. Thomas's financial history was impressive: years of careful investment, strategic planning, and professional achievement. "Would you like to discuss your investment portfolio?" Michael asked, his tone now warm and genuinely interested. Thomas smiled. It was a smile that spoke of patience, of understanding. He knew this moment was not about proving anything, but about maintaining human dignity. Emma stood nearby, completely silent. Her earlier confidence had evaporated, replaced by a profound sense of embarrassment. She understood now how quickly prejudice could blind someone to the truth. The bank's interior felt different now. The tension that had earlier filled the space had transformed into something else: a quiet understanding, a moment of genuine human connection. Thomas's journey was about more than just this moment. It was a testament to resilience, to maintaining dignity in the face of subtle discrimination. His calm response had spoken louder than any angry words could have. Michael guided Thomas towards a private meeting room, discussing potential investment strategies. Emma watched, her earlier confidence completely gone, replaced by a deep sense of reflection. The morning continued. The bank's routine resumed. But something had changed: a small but significant moment of understanding had occurred. Thomas Wilson had not just defended himself. He had transformed a moment of potential conflict into an opportunity for growth and understanding. The private meeting room felt different from the main bank floor. Soft leather chairs replaced the hard wooden benches, and warm wooden panels covered the walls. Michael Roberts sat across from Thomas Wilson, a stack of professional documents spread between them. "I'm genuinely impressed with your investment portfolio," Michael said, his earlier professional distance now replaced by genuine respect. Thomas's financial records told a story of careful planning, strategic investments, and remarkable financial acumen. Thomas listened quietly, his hands folded carefully on the table. He had seen this transformation before, the moment when prejudice crumbled under the weight of professional competence. His years of financial consulting had taught him that actions spoke louder than appearances. Outside the meeting room, Emma Carter stood near the window, her reflection showing a woman wrestling with her own emotions. She could hear muffled conversations, understanding that something significant was happening. Michael pulled out a detailed financial report, his fingers tracing the carefully prepared graphs and charts. Thomas's investment strategy was nothing short of brilliant. Small investments in emerging technologies, careful diversification, and a deep understanding of market trends had created an impressive financial portfolio. Your approach to investment is remarkable, Michael continued, genuine admiration replacing his earlier professional distance. These projections are exceptional. Thomas simply nodded. He understood that true validation came from performance, not from seeking external approval. His work spoke for itself. The bank's interior seemed to shift. What had started as a moment of potential conflict was transforming into an opportunity for professional connection. The harsh fluorescent lights now felt softer, more welcoming. Emma watched through the glass partition, her earlier confidence completely dissolved. She recognized now how quickly prejudice could blind someone to genuine talent and achievement. Michael began discussing potential investment opportunities. Thomas listened carefully, his years of experience evident in every measured response. He asked precise questions, demonstrating a depth of financial knowledge that went far beyond simple banking transactions. The meeting continued, a dance of professional respect and mutual understanding. Thomas's calm demeanor never wavered. He had faced similar situations throughout his career, understanding that dignity was the most powerful response to prejudice. Outside, the morning sunlight continued to stream through the bank's large windows. The town of Oakwood moved forward, unaware of the profound moment of transformation happening inside. Emma's reflection showed a woman lost in thought. She understood now how quickly assumptions could create barriers. The confident bank teller from earlier seemed to have disappeared, replaced by someone wrestling with her own misconceptions. Michael pulled out additional documents, discussing potential collaborative investment strategies. Thomas's professional network was extensive, connecting with some of the most respected financial institutions in the region. "We would be honored to have you consider our investment options," Michael said, his tone now completely different from their earlier interaction. Thomas smiled, a gentle, understanding smile that spoke volumes. This moment was about more than just financial transactions. It was about human connection, about seeing beyond initial appearances. The meeting room felt charged with a new energy. What had started as a potential conflict had transformed into an opportunity for genuine professional respect. Emma continued watching, her earlier confidence completely gone. She recognized the profound lesson unfolding before her, that true worth was determined by performance, not by appearances. Michael discussed potential long-term investment strategies, impressed by Thomas's careful approach and deep financial understanding. Each document, each conversation revealed layers of professional excellence. The bank's interior seemed to breathe differently. The harsh lines softened, the sterile environment transformed into a space of genuine human connection. Thomas understood that this moment was about more than just himself. It was about challenging systemic prejudices, about demonstrating that talent and expertise could not be confined by superficial judgments. As the meeting continued, a new understanding emerged. What had begun as a moment of potential conflict was now a testament to professional respect, to the power of maintaining dignity in the face of prejudice. The turning point had arrived, quiet, profound, transformative. The afternoon sunlight cast long shadows across the bank's polished floor. Thomas Wilson and Michael Roberts emerged from their meeting, a sense of mutual respect hanging in the air between them. Emma Carter stood near the window, her earlier confidence completely dissolved. "I apologize," Emma whispered, her voice barely audible. The words seemed to carry the weight of her entire previous misconception. Thomas looked at her, not with anger, but with a profound understanding that surprised everyone in the bank. "Understanding is a journey," he said softly. "Today, we've both learned something important." The bank fell silent. Customers who had witnessed the earlier tension now watched this moment of unexpected resolution. Michael stood nearby, observing the interaction with a careful eye. Emma's hands trembled slightly. She understood now how quickly prejudice could blind someone to genuine human potential. The confident bank teller from earlier seemed to have disappeared, replaced by someone wrestling with her own deep-seated misconceptions. Thomas's response was unexpected. Instead of confrontation, he offered something more powerful, compassion. "Every moment is an opportunity to learn," he said, his voice calm and measured. Michael approached, his professional demeanor softening. He recognized that this moment was about more than just a bank transaction. It was about human connection, about breaking down invisible barriers that often went unnoticed. The bank's interior seemed to breathe differently. The harsh fluorescent lights felt warmer, the white walls less sterile. What had started as a moment of potential conflict had transformed into an opportunity for genuine understanding. Emma's reflection in the window showed a woman deeply affected by the moment. Her earlier assumptions had crumbled, replaced by a profound sense of reflection. She understood now that appearances could be deeply misleading. Thomas gathered his documents, his movements calm and deliberate. He had faced similar situations throughout his career, but this moment felt different. It was not about proving a point, but about creating understanding. Michael offered Thomas a business card, suggesting future discussions about investment opportunities. The professional respect was now genuine, stripped of any earlier prejudices. "We would be honored to work with you," Michael said, his tone reflecting true professional admiration. The bank's other customers watched quietly. The tension that had earlier filled the space had transformed into something else, a quiet moment of human connection, of breaking down invisible barriers. Emma stepped forward, her earlier confidence completely gone. "Mr. Wilson," she began, her voice trembling slightly, "I was wrong." Thomas's response was unexpected. He smiled, not a smile of triumph, but of understanding. "We all have opportunities to grow," he said softly. The afternoon continued. Outside, the town of Oakwood moved forward, unaware of the profound moment of transformation happening inside the bank. The sunlight continued to stream through the large windows, casting everything in a warm, understanding light. Michael guided Thomas towards the bank's exit, discussing potential future collaborations. Emma watched, her entire perspective fundamentally changed. What had begun as a moment of potential conflict had become something remarkable. A testament to the power of dignity, of maintaining calm in the face of prejudice, of seeing beyond initial appearances. The bank's interior felt different now. The harsh lines had softened, the sterile environment transformed into a space of genuine human connection. Thomas understood that this moment was about more than just himself. It was about challenging systemic misconceptions, about demonstrating that human potential could not be confined by superficial judgments. As he prepared to leave, Thomas turned back. "Today," he said to Emma and Michael, "we've all learned something valuable." The bank remained silent, a witness to this moment of profound transformation. Outside, the afternoon continued. The world moved forward, but inside this small bank, something significant had changed. A moment of understanding had occurred, quiet, powerful, transformative. Thomas Wilson walked out, his dignity intact, his spirit unbroken. Another chapter in his journey of resilience had been written.